In many cities, to build a small, affordable home would make you a criminal. It isn't frowned upon. It isn't just too expensive, it is frickin' illegal. And it gets worse. You can own land, pay property taxes, and still be told how big your house must be, where your driveway can be or has to be, and even how many parking spaces you need. It makes you wonder if you can truly call your property private today. I'm going to show you the hidden rules that are quietly driving up housing costs. And once you see them, you won't unsee them. Everyone thinks housing is expensive because of greedy landlords, corporations buying up houses, and high interest rates. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A huge part of the problem is policy. Not one big policy, but dozens of small rules that stack together and quietly make housing more expensive. Let's break down the worst offenders. Single-family zoning. This is the big one. In huge parts of cities like Omaha, you can only build one house per lot. That means no duplex, no triplex, no apartment conversions. Even if demand is high, land is expensive, and people are struggling to afford housing, it is owning a piece of land and being told you're only allowed to rent it to play horseshoes, or forcing a restaurant to serve one customer at a time. Minimum lot size. Let's say you are ready to build a new house. You still might be required to have up to a 10,000 square foot lot, depending on the neighborhood and type of home. So even if someone wants a smaller, cheaper home, they're forced to buy more land than they need. That drives up costs before construction even starts. This is one of the most invisible ways cities kill affordability. Parking minimums. Here's one most people never think about. Parking. Cities often require 2 spaces per home and multiple spaces per apartment. Each parking space means less land for apartments. That means you're not just buying a home, you're buying parking. You may not even need. Setbacks. You know that empty space on the sides of houses? Yeah, you paid for that. Setback laws require distance from the street, distance from neighbors, and distance from the alleys. So you're forced to buy land that you legally cannot use. It is like cooking chocolate chip cookies, and you aren't allowed to eat them or sell them or anything. Approvals and permits. Let's say you try to work around all this. You want to build something different or add more units, maybe something creative. Now you enter the approval process. That means public hearings, delays, and neighborhood opposition projects can take months or years, and time equals money. Inclusionary zoning. Let me show you something most people have no idea is happening. But this is being proposed in Omaha right now. In some cities, when a developer builds a big, high-end apartment complex like this, the city can require them to include affordable units. Essentially, they force rent control for a percentage of the units in a building. Same building, same location. But some units are rented at below market rates. This is called inclusionary zoning. And the idea sounds simple. If you're building luxury housing, you also need to include housing for lower income residents. But here's where it gets interesting. Developers don't just absorb that cost. They pass it on. It isn't greed, it is business. They increase the rent on the market rate units. They reduce the total units built, or they don't build at all. Thus, leaving the community with the housing crisis they were already suffering under. The policy is meant to create affordability. It generally just makes the rest of the building more expensive. Sounds like a win on the surface, but like most housing policies, the trade-offs are where the real story is, the bottom line. Developers stop trying to build affordable housing and focus on high-end projects that can survive the cost. These rules were created with good intentions. They were created for control, to control property values, to control growth, and to control the tax base. But unintended consequences make housing more expensive, they limit supply, and they push out entry-level buyers. So when people ask, why is housing so expensive? It's not just the market, it's the rule book. If you found this helpful, I've got another video breaking down how cities use things like tax incentives and financing to shape development. And trust me, that one gets even more controversial. Subscribe if you want to understand the real economics behind real estate.